Good morning, Kettle Kids, and welcome to your Wednesday, June 9th, and today is World Coral Triangle Day. I know we talked about coral a little earlier in a different, morning announcement, but it's an incredibly important animal that supports a lot of other aquatic species, and there is a specific spot that has a huge amount of coral and diversity in aquatic life, and that is the Coral Triangle in the Caribbean. Now, this coral reef is actually one of the closest to the United States, and it's a really, really valuable one for the world. A huge amount of coral species of sea turtles, fish, and actually just a lot of biodiversity that helps support human life lives in that specific spot. Why is that so important outside of just food that we eat and being able to see something really gorgeous and beautiful in the environment? Well, it's also a huge source of pharmaceutics. So when we're trying to find drugs and chemicals that can help people, one way or another, a lot of those chemicals are derived from the study of the plant and animal life in that coral reefs area. And that's a really kind of exciting thing to realize that places in the rainforest and places in the oceans can be such amazing resources outside of just really amazing animal life. But one of the biggest threats to the coral reefs and to the aquatic life in general is actually plastic. To be more exact, microplastics. Now, microplastics are what happens to plastic over a very long period of time. It breaks down, but it doesn't actually, degrade far enough to be part of the environment again. It's just this little tiny bit of almost plastic snowflakes, and they get caught in the water cycle. So we end up getting all of these plastics pushed into our drinking water and oceans, and that's a huge problem because there's plenty of animals, especially the ones at the very bottom of the food chain, that eat up those little bits of edible materials in the ocean and accidentally take in a lot of these plastics, and then eventually those get passed on to the fish and the fish that we eat, and they can end up a lot in our own bodies, which is kind of scary. And that causes some major health effects, so we got to really be a little bit more careful about what we do with these plastics because they just don't biodegrade. So what does that really mean we should do? Well, one is that we could be a little bit more aware of what level of recyclability our plastics are. So there are biodegradable plastics that you can find out there, and those are great ones to use. There are also plastics that are recyclable. But one really simple fact that most people don't know is this symbol, this recycling symbol, does not mean that something actually is recyclable. It just categorizes those plastics and those metals into categories of whether they are recyclable, how recyclable they are, or whether they are or not at all. And plenty of areas around the United States don't even recycle things that are recyclable. Just depends on what your local recycling center actually takes in. So really you got to do a little research. You got to look up online who's collecting your trash, who's collecting your recyclables, and what things they're actually recycling and what they need you to do to sort them out so they can recycle them. I know that I have waste management for my refuse, and there's a lot of stuff that they just don't recycle that has that recycling symbol on it. So I'm careful, I'm really trying not to buy it. Another really big thing if you want to take care of those coral reefs is actually wearing the right sunscreen if you ever go snorkeling or scuba diving in those areas. Now, you guys may not be doing that anytime real soon, but keep it in the back of your mind. Also, don't touch coral. You're not supposed to. It's really, really delicate stuff. And just by standing on it or touching it with your hands, you can actually kill all the little animals that are inside of those calcium structures. And then another really interesting thing is that boat anchors are a huge danger for the coral reefs. The really sad part is a lot of people go out on cruise ships and they go into those coral reefs and they go snorkeling, but there's not really good regulation to say you have to use specific types of anchors or specific anchoring points. So if you actually want to go cruise ship and you want to go check out an area of coral reefs, maybe do a little research and find out, does that cruise ship actually anchor in the sand or does it anchor directly in the coral reefs? And if it's anchoring in the coral reefs, maybe you choose a different cruise ship line to go on, or you talk to your parents about going with a different cruise company. But the reason I say all this is because these coral reefs are incredibly important for our planet. There's a ton of biodiversity there, and it's important, even if it's not in our own backyard, that we take care of our own home as a whole, as a planet. So anyways, let's put our hands over our hearts, find the flag in the room, and please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Hey, Kendall Kids, I bet you were thinking we weren't going to be talking about coral reefs today, but we were. Now let's talk about food. Today we have a PB&J sandwich with string cheese or mac and cheese, along with roll, broccoli, applesauce, and milk. So quite a nice selection right there. I know I'd be gearing up for the mac and cheese, but let's talk a little about what's going on with the weather. Today, we have a gorgeous day in store for you. The only thing I can say is there's going to be a little bit of roving cloud cover, although most of that will blow away by kind of midday today. We're looking at only a 15% chance of rain, and that temperature range is just plain old comfortable. The only negative thing I can tell you is that there is still relatively high humidity, so it's going to feel a little sticky outside for the majority of the day, but that will also be clearing up as the temperatures drop down into the low 70s and high 60s for the next few days. So we're looking at fantastic weather tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, all the way through Sunday, with the chance of rain kind of rising as we get into that weekend. But right now, just really enjoy it. Get out there and just, do your best summer life that you possibly can. So anyways, let's finish out our announcements with that Kendall mission statement. The mission of the Kendall Central School District is to provide the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes needed by students to live responsibly and compete successfully in today's and tomorrow's world. So before I let you go, I just want to mention one more time, the Java Junction Junior is going to have its last open day this Friday. So if you need your caffeine or hot cocoa fix, it is the time to go get your very last fill and of this school year, at least. And remember, guys, if I don't get a chance to see it, remember to stay colorful, Kendall.